How do you pronounce your last name? Buechi?
Buechi.
Buechi.
It's okay.
Sounds almost like Spanish or Italian or something.
My mom's Peruvian.
Ah, cool.
So, I have
So you speak Spanish?
Yes, I have a surname Vasquez as well.
Ah, yeah, Buechi Vasquez. Fellow tennis nerds, I'm here with Christian Buechi, a strong player. He played futures and stuff like that. Now he runs a little academy called Experience Tennis. You live where right now?
So I'm living in Zurich, and I'm studying in Zurich as well. I grew up in the region of Zurich, so that's where I'm from.
Cool. We're going to hit some balls today. He's going to test a lot of rackets. Maybe he has some comments about which works for him or not. There's no scientific thinking about this. It's just two tennis nerds meeting up and having a fun hit. It is quite hot. I've also played like 1 hour and something, so I'm sweating more than him, but hopefully I can get him to sweat a little bit at least. So what's your racket and what do you play with usually?
Yeah, so as of now, I'm playing with a Technifiber T-Fight 300 that's customized up to 315 and 31.5 millimeter balance.
All right.
I used to play the Wilson Blade V8 1619 at the same spec, and now I changed because of the coach contract I have with Technifiber.
Yeah, the coach. But they make nice good rackets. They're actually
good
nice
rackets.
foam
Good
filled.
rackets.
Shout out to your academy if you need coaching on high level, I guess. And you're in Zurich area, right?
I'm in the area of Zurich, yes.
Yeah, that's cool. So check him out. But we're gonna get back to you with some thoughts about rackets and stuff later in the video. I will be more sweaty then.
Cheers, let's get to it.
Thanks, Chris.
Thank you.
So, fellow tennis nerds, this is the bag I brought. I brought a bunch of rackets today. I didn't know what he wanted to test 100%. I didn't bring any Technifiber rackets, sorry Technifiber. So when you see this lot of rackets, it's a new Extreme MP. There's a Blade V8 because I know you play with that. This is an H19 mold with some customization. What strikes you the most? What's most interesting for you to try?
Honestly, I would love to test the H19 to start, and I'm very curious on the new Extremes as well, and maybe a V-Core at some point, but I'd love to start with a H19. Nice to meet you. Hola, nice to meet you.
Yeah, went for the Swedish flag on the...
I went for the Swedish flag.
On the string job, yeah.
But yeah, no, I've heard lots about it, and I was always curious because it's an ultra paint job.
Yeah, it looks
not
beautiful.
as powerful, obviously, as an ultra, so I was always curious as to how it plays. So I'd love to get my hands on this one.
Vamos.
Me llega esa duda que siempre estremece. Si valgo algo, ¿quién soy? Si alguien me amara como soy. Me he sentido mal todos estos meses, pero sé que el día vendrá y que la luz me brillará. Quiero solo esa mirada que me asegure que no pasa nada, que todo ha estado bien, que fue un sueño y desperté, pero
So Christian, what did strike you as the most exciting, interesting of the ones you tried so far?
Honestly, I was super surprised by the Nordic Dot because it's a brand I've heard of on your channel, but I'm usually a bit skeptic on brands that aren't like mainstream and on television and everything. So it was a really good racket. It was a bit of erratic response of the string bed sometimes, but in general, felt like it was a really good racket. Maybe compared to ESO 98 that I hit with right after. Obviously the Rafa Origin, it was my first time hitting with it, and it's just a monster, like unplayable. Like for me, it's like I don't even feel the ball, it's so heavy. I didn't know that existed in a tennis racket, but yeah, so pretty cool experiences there.
After tennis with Christian, I'm very sweaty, and we had a really good hit though. Very good player, obviously. It's hard for me to keep up, but still fun. And he has some questions for me from his followers as well. But we played with quite a few rackets, you mainly. Did you have any strong favorites or something that felt better? These were not all of them, there are quite a few in the 2 tennis bags over there.
Yeah, thank you very much for taking your time. Obviously I got hit with like 12 different rackets in an hour, so it's crazy for all of you guys wondering, like myself, what it's like playing with so many rackets in an hour. It's crazy.
It's very good for your tennis.
But I have to be honest, I like the Head Extreme Tour a lot. It was a very good racket. It felt very comfortable for me as well on the one-hander.
It feels so good on the one-hander, weirdly. Like it's one of those rackets, like people say there's no one-handed backhand rackets. But when you hit with that one, you feel like this is made for the one-hander, right?
Pretty
like
much,
Musetti,
pretty much, yes. And I like the Yonex E-Zone, the 98 as well. And I was very surprised by the Nordic Dots one as well. Like I'm usually a bit skeptic on the rackets that are on TV, but it was a pretty good racket as well. And then yeah, made some interesting experiences as well.
Yeah, obviously, like when you try it like this, it's gonna be an overload to the system if you play with like 12 rackets in 1 hour or whatever it is. He did hit with the Rafa Aero Origin, which is like fun for some minutes, but then quite demanding.
And a monster.
Yeah, it's a monster.
Yeah, tough for us guys, for us normal people.
Yeah,
play
but
with.
like you're a very good player. Funnily enough, like I see a lot of comments on these Rafa Origin rackets. Like a lot of players that are weaker than me, like a level below me or more, they really like it because it feels like they maybe hit the ball off center a lot, you know, and it's so heavy that the ball goes in anyway. And if the ball is slow, but then I would be very careful with the arm because like if you're swinging this like a log, like you're swinging a frying pan for.
It's crazy.
Yeah,
It's very crazy. It's very special.
Yeah, so you were a hitting partner now before we get into the questions, like Gestad, and you also, it's been several years, or?
I've done 2 years now.
Oh, yeah.
I did last year and I did this year.
And Geneva you did as well, or no?
In Geneva, I was lucky enough to go with a player as a coach.
Oh, wow,
So,
okay,
yeah,
cool.
I did that, so yeah.
That's amazing.
Different experiences.
That's amazing. But you don't want to be a pro anymore, you feel like, no, it's not for you.
I feel like my level is still very, very far away from going there, and I was interested in doing other stuff with my life, so yeah, I just...
What are
playing
you
for fun
studying?
now.
In
I'm
university?
studying economics. So
Oh, yeah. Okay. This is good. No, yeah, it's good to get education. I think it's good. I mean, obviously, did you ever think about like doing college, like in the US or something?
I did. I did. This is going to be on YouTube. To my girlfriend, I didn't want to leave to the States for a year, and kind of I felt like I want to do some coaching here in Switzerland as well. And I had some friends going over, and I heard some good things, some bad things, and at the end of the day, I felt like I would have liked to stay home. Yeah. So yeah, it's
mature decision. I think it's good. Like if you really think it through properly and you make your decision, you can be at peace, you know. And then you're just like, and also you can change your mind. Look at Carousel, right? Like if you want to like, okay, I want to start playing some tournaments again. You're 20 years old now, right?
Obviously at a different level than mine. Back then,
yeah,
I was
of
like
course.
400 already. And,
but still, like you can. He's also older, so you can go back and try it at least.
For sure,
you know, yeah.
For sure.
But the tennis circuit is a jungle.
Yeah, I feel like then again, and also with the college tennis, I have lots of friends. It depends on your tennis level. So if you're a really good player, obviously you can choose your university.
Yeah.
But if you're, I'd say, a good player, but not a super player, like I describe myself, you cannot really choose. So it's either a good tennis school or a good kind of educational school, like academic school. But to have both in one is pretty tough. And Zurich, was close to home and it was pretty good. And all my friends were going there. So.
Yeah, makes sense. When you played as a hitting partner, like, did you notice certain like players that had like a super shot? Or I mean, you played with Fils, you played with Lucas Klein, you played with so many different players. What were some highlights of just being able to actually practice with these types of top pros?
I mean, obviously every hit was like a super experience. Like I'm still smiling about it. It's so crazy. But I had different experiences from guys that were super nice to guys who were like hitting a super heavy ball, being super intense. So last year I got to do a hit with Jaime Munar. And he would grind for like 45 minutes without a break from the baseline. I was like dying, and he was like going
was
at
just
it
hitting,
and
like
grunting, just hitting like a machine. I got to hit with Thomas Echeverri this year, and
what a player!
He's a very, very hard worker, very humble guy, humble team around him, and hits very hard. Lucas Klein hits a super clean ball. I was wondering why he's not even further up the rankings.
Where is he now? It's top 100 or?
116 last time I
he's
checked.
getting there.
He's like on the brink of cracking top 100, the magical barrier.
Yeah, it is kind of,
And obviously he hits a very clean ball. I got to hit with Dominic Thiem, which is just like a nice guy, nice team around him. We did some keepy ups before the practice. The football is like a dream, you know. But obviously then again they're just normal guys. Some of them made it a bit nicer, some of them a bit less. I got to do a practice with Arthur Rinderknecht last year as well. Super nice guy, super nice
fellow
guy.
tennis nerd. He follows Tennis Nerd.
So. There you go. It's
nice.
But no, so lots of nice guys as well on the tour, and impressive seeing that level and that dedication.
Yeah, it's hard to understand unless you get really close to the tour, like how heavy the balls are, like how hard they hit. But like the dedication you need to have these days, like you need to be super serious with the food, with the training, with your practices, your body. Like it's very easy to break down. People get sick and have all kinds of injuries all the time. So it's like, it's a tough choice. But when you go for it, you have to go 150%. Otherwise, no chance of making it. You know?
Exactly. No, they're all very, very serious and
But cool. It must have been very exciting to play with these guys. You know, it's like how nervous are you in the first few minutes? Is it like really bad, or it takes a while to kind of calm down?
For me, it's horrible. I'm gonna be honest with you, because what happens is at tournaments they usually go back to the baseline straight away, and I'm not used to doing that at all. And obviously they start super chill and you get into a groove.
Yeah,
and
they
then
just
after,
really touching the ball,
yes,
right? I
yes,
guess,
yes.
yeah.
And then after 5 minutes you feel like you can't miss the ball because it's just like gradually building up. But the first 2-3 minutes, obviously, you kind of feel like you're being checked out by their coaches, by the player, by maybe some people watching, and it's like super nerve-wracking, especially.
Yeah, because they're never really alone. It's not like you and the guy. It's like they
Exactly.
have a guy standing behind. They have the physio maybe. There's some other guy. You know.
Exactly. No, but then obviously there's some guys that were just super chill, like from the beginning, like Kachin or Arthur Fils, where you just notice, okay, if you miss a ball, they're not going to be mad, and obviously none of the guys expect for you to be a better player than them.
No, they have to have
But
understanding for that.
still, they expect you to hit every ball, or maybe almost every ball into the court.
Yeah.
Bit of pressure.
Yeah, you
as well.
need to kind of build. You're building rhythm for them. You don't need to hit as hard as them, but you need to give them the ball back, right? That's it. You have to be a wall, right? That's
try
heavy.
at least.
Try everything. Yes. Yeah, and also I think it's tough for the tournaments, as far as I understand, to find good hitting partners. Sometimes there's complaints. Sometimes I need to change the guys from last year and stuff like that. So it's something I've heard as well. Like with knowing tournament directors and stuff, it's not easy to find, like, because you need local players as well, right? So
yes, I think it depends a lot on the budget they have, because usually we're booked for 10 days, like, or the entire tournament, and then like for now in Gstaad, for example, we don't get paid. We don't pay anything, so we get like where we stay, where we eat and stuff, that's paid for.
Nice.
But we don't get paid additionally.
So it's like a training camp.
Exactly. Well, yeah, pretty high level training
camp. Can't find a higher level.
So yeah, and then it's obviously hard to find very good players that are maybe competing on tour themselves, 800, 900 ATP, to kind of sacrifice 2 tournament weeks.
Yeah.
And I feel like, that's a bit of a trade-off they have to do.
Yeah. But that doesn't make you want to change your mind, like, I want to be a pro now that I've been so close to the tour. Like,
I feel like maybe even the opposite, because you just kind of see how much it takes and like how specific they are and how professional they're about it, that you tell yourself, okay, maybe it is pretty fun going out for a beer and just like hanging around, and if you don't feel like stretching, well, you don't have to necessarily
having a
stretch.
normal life.
And I mean, when I'm there, obviously I try to fit in. I'd go to the gym half an hour before the warm-ups, before the practices, and I'd get in, and sometimes there's players like Echeverry, they're already there and sweating, and you're like, when did you come to the gym? Because it's like 9 a.m. and we're hitting at 10 and you're sweating, like, but that's just the way they
that's
work.
The life. I don't think a lot of them go for like pints after tennis, like a lot of in Spain. You know, you can even see like mixed doubles here, they have a pint on the court. But I've seen like also gone to tournaments where you meet like Dustin Brown in the bar after his match, you know, even if we won, you know. So it depends on the style, but most players are so professional, like they will treat their body like a temple, you know. Like,
great. It's very
pretty cool.
Very personal, very specific, but they know what is good for them and what they need.
And also they have like have a whole team. It's not only them, you know. So they have people to keep them in check, even if they're a little bit like rowdy or they want to have like a night off. But they have a coach they have to pay. They have a trainer they have to pay. They have bills they have to pay. You know, it's
travel,
hotels. People don't realize like there's, you know, self-employed little company traveling around. I talked to Chris Eubanks in Boss Open about that as well. It's like it said, it's tough because, I mean, you're paying the hotels. You get the hotel for free, but you're paying the hotels for your staff, like for your coach and for your trainer and stuff. And then if you stay in a nice hotel, do you want to put them in a worse hotel, or do you put them in the same hotel, and then your budget is a bit, you lose first round, like it's not so good.
Of course.
So it's an interesting life. Anyway, you had questions for me. Let's do that before any camera breaks.
And we'll all be happy. If you would have to pick like a dark horse in the market, like a very underrated string, a very underrated racket, what comes to mind first?
That's a very good question, actually. Underrated string, like, I mean, for example, like a string like Vulcan Cyclone or MSV Focus Hex are used by so many like strong players that they're budget strings, but they're good for like heavy hitters, like who can create a lot of spin. Maybe not, they're a bit stiff, so maybe not for the arm, but I think those are not even talked about to putting in any 10 string sheets. Tour line strings are great if you lead like a softer string. People don't know about them so much, but now they're doing so much social media with Karoo and stuff, so now it's becoming less of a dark horse, I would say. Solinko everyone knows. Grapple Snake makes some nice strings, like Tour M8, very good string used by Travaglia or some other pro, I think Travaglia. So there are strings like that are, there's so many strings, that's like the number one easiest thing to find dark horses, string project. You can find a quality string for a budget price. When it comes to rackets, and we talked about the Nordic Dots racket, which I find, it's just a prototype now. This is a very good, will be a dark horse literally. but it's like an E-Zone 99 kind of meets a Blade Pro, you know, and it has a nice feel, very interesting string pattern. So this would be a dark horse. I really like this racket.
It's a bit of a thick beam, but it feels maneuverable still.
Yeah,
like
yeah, it's just 300 grams. So, so that racket I'm very excited about. I've actually been playing pretty well with it. In terms of brands that are on the market but not well known, I mean, like the Technifiber T-Fights that you're using, they are used now more on tour, but they're actually very good rackets. And you see a lot of pros like the French, like Rinderknecht you mentioned, or the Dutchy, what's his called?
Talon Grigsport.
Grigsport plays with that, you know. So that's a brand that, like, you see so many blades, but if you're not with Wilson, the Technifiber T-Fight 305 or 300 are good rackets, you know. I would say the Fury Arma Pro is a racket I still like, you know. That's a 98, bit lively in the string pad, but really nice feel as well. Hazel rackets are very good. Like a friend of mine who's a good coach plays with Hazel.
Maybe that's a question of mine that's not on here, but do you think it would be harder to enter the string market or to enter the racket market if you're a new brand?
The racket market is, I think, super tough. You need a big budget to sponsor players. In strings, production cost is cheaper. Obviously, there's so many different strings, so that's another competitive aspect. But like Wilson, Head, Yonex, and part Technifiber, maybe Dunlop, they have such a big part of the market and putting so much money into sponsorships. So to be a new racket brand and get massive sales, and like you said, like it's tough to trust anything. Like I've not seen this on tour. There's not one tour player. The Clash from Wilson had that problem, like, or even the Shift. Like people don't see it in the hands of pros, and then they want to play with it, even if the pros are using like pro stocks that are not really what they see. So. Yeah, I think the racket is a really tough endeavor to get into that market. You know.
Talking about strings, if you were to recommend a specific string for the new Extreme Pro, what string would you recommend?
It's a tough one. The one we use today in the tour, which is I like, is the Nordic Dots 127 topspin string. It's a pentagonal, so it's 5-sided. I really like that string. You play well with that too.
Good string.
So that what I would do. I would try to find like a little bit of a firmer string to crispen up the feel, because that racket compared to the Tour, which is in the bag there, it's so much more dampened. So you need probably a little bit like a Lynx Tour, maybe Solinco Hyper G, something that like firms it up a bit, because otherwise I feel like it's a little bit hard to get some grip on the ball. Solinco Confidential, another good string. So I would probably go for that. You know.
That's nice. Thank you. What would you say is the smoothest frame that you've ever hit with?
Oh, that's a good. It's not here, but the PT57A is like one of the. I mean, in terms of feel, of feeling like you're hitting with a buttery racket, but it's still, you feel 100% in control of the ball. I don't think you can beat that. It's just so beautiful when you're playing with it. If you string it with like a gut hybrid, it's even better. You tried it with a polyester string, but this is a racket where it's obviously not going to be forgiving on a level where you're playing some heavy hitters who hit big spin and stuff. It's going to be tough. But if you're hitting casually, it's just beautiful. Like it's and flat shots.
I agree. It's very special.
Very special.
When you hit
it's a miracle racket in many ways.
It's insane. Maybe talking about your experiences when you were at some tournaments and stuff. What player is one of the nicest person or people you've met, or what's like the most impressive athlete you've kind of seen?
My coolest like encounters are obviously Rafa and Roger. Like Roger, I only met once. Rafa I met several times, but Roger is such a class act. Like I got the fortune, like in the ATP finals, one of his final years, to like have a proper chat with him. And I was having a glass of wine. He was not having wine because he was playing still. But what you think he is gonna be like, he was like, like gentleman, super nice guy. Did not seem fake at all. People think he's maybe political. I did not strike me at all as political, because I have worked in politics as a journalist for several years, and nothing political. Like I've talked to Biden, I've interviewed presidents. Like I didn't see any political stuff in him. I saw a genuine guy, right? So same with Rafa, super genuine. Like what a humble athlete and nice guy, So those guys, Berrettini, super chill, Tiafo, some of the guys. And most guys seem very nice. Obviously, some guys, when you come into the player restaurant, and I'm not going to mention names, but you come into the player restaurants and they look at you like, what is this virus or like cockroach coming into this player? This is not a player, or what is it? This guy is like, but generally most of them are nice, and those guys are something beyond nice, I would say.
Nice. What's your match racket right now? So if you're going to play a tournament tomorrow? Which one of these are you taking with you?
I would either go with the Nordic dots because it's like very what I like right now. So I would bring 2 rackets because I'm a crazy person, right? But I would bring 3 rackets. Nordic dots I might start with if I find the ball to be going a bit more for my style of like I'm hitting generally more flat like stuff. I would go Extreme Tour, and if I still can't control the ball, I would go PT7A. So that would probably be it. And it's happened in matches like if I play on the ITF seniors, like I play 1 racket, lose first set, play another racket, manage to win second set maybe. But then for some reason I lose 3 straight games in the third set, and I change racket again, and then I'm on my 3rd racket. But like I had one of those matches in the semifinals a few months ago where I played 3 different rackets and I won 10-8 in the match tiebreak with the 3rd racket. So that's
whatever works. Whatever works.
Because it's a crazy life, you know.
Some pros to kind of deal with that problem, they would take differently strung rackets to the match court.
Different tensions. Yeah.
That
would be a good idea. That would be a better idea. Generally.
Probably you'd recommend that for players that are...
Of course. Okay. I would say always, if you're a serious player on any level, always try to bring 3 different tension. Like 1 up, 1 standard, and 1 below. Right. And I mean, obviously for most amateur, I mean, I'm thinking like you're a good junior or you're playing a futures or you're really ambitious as even as an ITF seniors player or something. It's good to have a few different tensions because then you can get that out of your head, because a lot of the pros you see on tour and the people that I consult with, that I help with rackets and strings, they have the issue of like the overthinking rackets. You know, it's not only happy amateurs like me. It's like a lot of pros. As soon as the results start going a bit so, they start thinking about maybe I need more power. This guy has a lot of power. What is he using? What strings does he use? Why is he playing with 35 pounds and I'm playing 45 pounds? You know, so. Having different tensions will help you to maybe not think so much about that, you know. But I think most pros, they have different tensions. And Rafa is a bit specially placed, always like 56 or 57 pounds, but generally most pros do different tensions.
And from a gear perspective, like some juniors will use the same racket throughout their entire career.
Yep.
And some of them are switching when they're 15, then when they're 17, then when they're 20. What would you recommend, or is it very individual as to like, do you start with 1 racket and try to keep playing with
I
that
would try
racket?
to, yeah, as long as it's not too light. Like what you can maybe do is beef up the racket.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, if we take Rafa as an example, he started with a soft drive when he was very young, 12 years old or whatever, or 10, and which is a very light racket, maybe had some weight on it, but then he went to the pure drive, and then they made the Rafa original for him, and then now he's stuck with that, but he just kept adding weight.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, most players make some switches, like Domi, you talked about team before. I mean, he was playing Prestige, played like super dense pattern, small head, 95. And then when he went to Babolat, they made the pure strike, which had more power, you know, still 1820 though. And then he made tweaks with some weights, and that's usually, then it's tough to change. Like, I mean, what Andy did now with going from PT7A, which we play with today, to an ESON 100 is, you never see that. That's why I thought it was, even at the end of this career, is pretty impressive to just go and be like, oh, I want to play with completely different racket from what I have, you know.
I spoke with Jamie Murray on that last week, and he was laughing as well. He was saying like it's a very bold move. Obviously, it's like crazy, but he feels good with it, and I mean,
he plays well with it. I mean, you see him striking the ball. It's not that huge of a difference. Like, you see, he gets more on the ball, but he puts also crazy amount of weight. Like, I wouldn't put all this weight on an E-zone, but I mean, I'm not Andy Murray. So.
I was gonna say it's different. I don't know how well you know that market, but if you were to say what's like your favorite affordable racket, which is not like $300 upwards, which
is a very good question. I think the smartest approach you can have with rackets is to look at what's new and go for the outgoing model before it runs out, right? So in your case, like let's say you have a good racket now, but if you would want to switch, you tried the Extreme Tour today, it's in the bag, and that's the outgoing model. So that's half price now. It's like 149 bucks or euros, and then you buy a few of those. So you know, the outgoing blade, the outgoing pure drive, whatever, Yonex, E-Zone. So like wait for that, and the differences in the rackets are so small, so you will get a super quality racket. The newest version is rarely much different, like rarely, like it happens, but in some cases it's worse. Like I would say the V-cores from before this V-core, I prefer them, right? So like then I could have bought 3 V-cores or something for like the price of less than 2, you know? So I think always look at what's new on the market and you buy the outgoing model. That's where you can find huge sales and discounts. And use
still get-
T-Nerd10 on Tennis Warehouse Europe, so you get 10% off.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
No, but that's
Then you
the
still get a
best.
top-notch
I bought
racket.
like a lot of rackets like that because otherwise the prices of rackets today are too high. Like generally, that's my feeling, and it's not really. It's not easy if you want to have 4 rackets you want to buy for a kid or you're junior or whatever. That's $1,200 or 1,000 euros or whatever. That's a lot of money.
Expensive. It's
Yeah.
expensive. But yes, would you wish they'd make more changes between generations of rackets? Like Yonex now, these, and for example, they're going to change the paint job.
Yeah, this is
To, like-
usually bothers me a bit, especially if they raise the price. If they
Yeah.
keep the price the same, they can do whatever. But if they change the cosmetic and raise the price, I don't really, or like limited edition. I think it's a bit. I know it market. I worked with marketing a long time. I know how it works. But
Yeah.
but for example, like I do like Yonex approach that they change. Like we have 2 examples here. We can put Yonex. They tweak this so much, like they completely change the
it's very
shape.
different.
It plays very different. Some will like it, some won't. I like it less than the previous one. Fine, you know, it's my personal opinion. But
Looks
then
more
we have
like a
head.
squash racket now, right?
If you give me that one,
Yeah,
like
sure.
head, they only tweak the layup in most recent rackets they've done. So they changed the cosmetic, obviously, but they instead of having auxetic technology only here, you know, they now will have it also in the handle, which will affect the racket. It will play different, but it's not really different enough. So then you can buy the outgoing model and you'll be fine, you know. So I think I understand why they do it because it's easier. Let's say you're playing with this
Yeah.
and you want to buy a new one because you broke them or you just want a new color, whatever. Then it's easy for you to switch. So that's a pro with that. But this is a little bit more exciting for me. You know, we're testing new rackets who want something new. Then I find that this is more exciting. This I can get bored with when they just do these small tweaks. You know. Yeah. So that would be my
Nice.
comment.
Nice. Thank you very much. That's
Thanks, Mingo. Really nice
that's
seeing
good
you.
meeting you. Thank you.
Have a nice one.
And, you too.
And
Take
don't
care.
forget to
Play some tennis. There you go.